Okay, on this first one, we have the information that dB is equal to dB, which they didn't have to give us because that's reflexive. But we're told that ADB and CDB are right angles. So now we start going through our list. If I had AD and CD, I'd have side, angle, side. So that one works. If I have AB is congruent to AC, that's AB and AC. I'm not matching up triangles, so B failed. This one's a tricky one. If AB is congruent to CB, well, I have side-side angle, but it's hypotenuse leg. It's a right angle, so I got hypotenuse leg. If angle ABD, CBD, now I've got angle, side, angle. And angle A and angle C will give me angle, angle, side. On our exponential problem, we have Mr. Powers' savings account. He has $500 to start, 1.05 each month. So I got to find my multiplier. So 100 plus 1.05 gives me 101.05. It's 1.0105 is my multiplier. He started with 500, 2 years. 2 times 12, because I'm working in months, is 24. Next one, remember these marks right here means that those two sides are congruent. Therefore, their opposite angles are congruent. So that means I could take 5x minus 43 equals 3x plus 1. Solve for x, I get x equals 22. Make sure you answer the question, which is angle BCD. So BCD is down here. Once I know this is 22, I can plug in. You'll find this angle 67, this one's 67. Add those together, subtract from 180, get 46. 180 minus 46 gives you 134. Now we did have a rule also that if you have an exterior angle right here, the sum of the two remote interiors will sum to this. It's a little rule. Some people like it. That saves them a little time, but you can always work around it by using sum of the angles in the triangle. Okay, so this one, we want to find the measure of angle ACB, sum of the angles in the triangle again. So I add up all these angles. So I add up all my x's, I get 11x. Negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7. Solving, I get x equals 17, but be careful, that's an answer. I want to find angle ACB, which is the same as angle C. Plugging in, it's 5 times 17 plus 1, that's 86. Right here, we have a straight angle. So some of these have to add up to 180. So 9x minus 9 equals 180. X equals 21. Angle TRS, well, it's 21 minus 3. That's 18. Okay, we have these two parallel lines. If you have two parallel lines, angle F and angle G, they're not congruent. But these two will add up to 180, and that means they're supplementary. They're also same side interior. That's not one of the choices, but these are same side interior as well. 7 is the tough one. I remember reasons for similarity. I could do angle, angle. I could do side, side, side. And I could do side, angle, side. Now, when I do my sides, they have to be proportional. So, for this one right here, angle A equals itself, so that's going to match. Then on this one right here, we have ABD is congruent to ACD. That would be sufficient. That gives my angle, angle. Angle E and angle C being congruent doesn't help me because they are not in the two different triangles. So I need matches here. So I can't use this one. Now I'm looking at my sides. Well, I can match up AB to AC. That is 7 over 21. So I've got to get something else to match. Now, this one, AD to AE, if it's 7 over 21, then I've got side, angle, side. So that one works. Now, if I look at this one, BD being equal to 6, well, if I do this, and it does equal 1/3, if I do 6 over 18, I get 1/3. But the problem is, I'd have angle, side, side, which we can't have, or side, side, angle. Okay, for our factoring problem, this is a little bit harder than what I would give you guys on your test. 2x squared, negative 60. Multiply those together, get negative 120x squared. These two have to multiply to give me negative 120, but add to give me positive 7. Start with two numbers as close you can to 120 as possible. Sign's negative, therefore one's positive, one's negative. So 10 times 12. Then I would try 9 inside of 120. 9 does not go in. 8 goes into 120 15 times. These are separated by 7. So I could put those in. This one's 15x. This one I made negative 8x, so I get a positive 7, because these two have to add up to 7. Once I have that, I can take out an x here. Then 2x times x gives me 2x squared. 2x times negative 4 gives me negative 8. X times 15 will give me 15x. 15 times negative 4 is negative 60, so they all work. So 2 I have x minus 4, 2x plus 15. On this one, first factor out any common terms. 3x comes out, leaving with 2x squared minus x minus 1. This one, I don't even need a box because there's only one possibility. See, I've got to go 2x, 1 and 1. That's the only way to get 1. I know one's positive, one's negative. Let's say if I tried it this way, negative and positive. I check my inside. That's negative x. Do the outside. That's 2x. I got positive 1x. It's the correct number but wrong sign. So I changed my signs to this guy. So I look for whatever ones are there. So we have the 3x and the 2x plus 1. Question 10. Okay, so now we have to go through and match up things. First thing I would do is I'd find the x. So x is AD. It matches EH. So x and 7 have to go together. So I can at least get rid of this one because it doesn't even have an x in it. So I matched up those, and I want to solve for x. All the x's were matched with 7. So now I just got to make sure my order's correct. So if I did 7 over x, I'm going from the small trapezoid to the large trapezoid. If I did 7 to x, that means I got to go from small to large. Well, I went large to small, so that's why this one failed. Okay, this time I went from, again, small, large. 7 is to x. And then they said 4, well, that's FG, has to match BC. BC is 10, 4 is 10. That one worked. So now I have a solution, that one that works. So I know if I was to actually solve it, if I wanted to check the other ones, if you cross multiply, and if I was to solve this, I would get 35 over 2 or 17 and a half. And if you check all these other ones, when you cross multiply, they're not going to work. But I can still check it this way too. Large to small. So I went 15 to 8, but those don't match up. AB has to match EF. That's GH. So that's why that one failed. This one going from the large one to the small one. X is to 7, and I did 6 to 15. Well, I'm going backwards. So that one failed. I already said this one failed. Okay, so I'm going to plug in the 10 for each one of these triangles. If this is 10, this one works. 6 squared plus 8 squared, that's 36 plus 64 equals 100. That works. Find my missing angle here, that's 32. This is 28. Smallest angle, smallest side. Bigger angle, bigger side. So that one still works. Isosceles triangle. This is 80. That makes this 80. So I got 160. That means this one would have to be 20, but it's 10, so it does not sum to 180. So C fails. On this one, if I have, this side is 10, the two shorter sides have to sum to a longer side. 7 plus 4 is 11. That's bigger than 10. Triangle can be formed. So D works. Then if I plug in 10 for here, I get 50, 70, and 60. Add up all those. That's 180. So the only one that failed was C. Okay, for our expected value, what you want to do is you go over and get your fractions. Now, if they give you degrees, remember it's 360 degrees in a circle, so it's got to divide it by 360. Don't worry about reducing, because you don't have to worry about that when I work with it. So I take my probability times the value. So this is 6, that's 90 degrees, or 1/4. Then I had 120 degrees over 360, or 1/3 times 9. 15 degrees over 360 times 24. 135 over 360 times 4. Then I just simplified each one of those. That's 1.5. This one is being 3. That's 1, 1.5. Add them up, get 7. This was the same as one we had for our practice test. Look for your parallel sides. Look for x. X is formed right here. So these guys are all connected. I'm not using the 123. 62 slides to 62. These two have to add to 180, so that's 118. Okay, so we have two sides of a triangle, are 9 and 17, and I want to find what are the possible lengths for the third side. Well, I know if I add these two together, they're going to have to be bigger than the longest side. So 9 plus 17 is 26. So that means if I go over 26, I can't make it. So it's got to be less than 26. But also, I could have had a smaller angle in here. If I do 17 minus 9 is 8, I know the answer has to be less than 8. So if you add these two together, it has to be less than that sum. Subtract them, it has to be greater. So the ones that work are 11 and 25. Okay, for this one, and this is where I may disagree with Reader a little bit on this, reflexive. You could say either TA or TA is congruent to TA, or TA is congruent to AT. It's the same side, so either one of those actually work. Then I filled in my information, PT, RA, angle T and angle A, PTA, and angle RAT. Those two are matched. So now I've got side, angle, side. That was side, angle, side. This one's tricky. This is where Mr. Reader gets kind of a little mean. None of those work. And he did this intentionally because he gets real picky about students not spelling this correctly, which I would do. You know, if you have to make sure it's correct. It's CPCTC, not CTCPC. So you have to understand, if you're going to use that, you have to make sure you do it correct. This one, because we know it's one of these two right here, that says similar triangles means similar parts. No, it's congruent triangles means congruent parts. That's why it ended up being none of these. And then remember, for our trig ones, this is SOHCAHTOA. So look at my angle. First find your hypotenuse. I labeled that as hypotenuse. This is opposite. The other one's adjacent. So now if I do sine, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Sine theta equals 5 over 13. That one works. This one doesn't. If I do cosine, cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. That's 12/13. So that one works. Tangent of theta would be 5 over 13. I don't have that one. So I don't have tangent theta equal 5 over 13. I had 12 over 5. Then on 19, you want to fill in your chart. We had 51 cans, 51 total sodas. And we're told that there are 22 Pepsis. So I put Pepsi here. There's 22. Therefore, 29 colas, regular just Cokes, because these two have to add up to 51. Then there are 23 bottles. So total for bottles is 23. That makes cans equals 28. And then we had 19 of the bottles were Cokes. So once I know this is 19, 19 plus 4 gives me 23. Therefore, 4 plus 18 gives me 22. 19 plus 10 gives me 29. And it should work. So when I add these two together, I get 28. I want Pepsi or a can. So that's Pepsi. So this one, or a can is that one. Add them all up. I get 22, 32 out of 51.